Hello and welcome back. As we promised you, we are here again with another episode on vocabulary. In this episode, we're going to talk about the origin of English, changes over time in the language, as well as what British English and American English are. Before you continue watching this video, don't forget to click on the red button to subscribe and the little bell to stay notified. Above all, let's do a little history. English was first brought to Britain in 5th century by Anglo-Saxon invaders from North Germany. History of English comes in three main phases. The first one is Old English, which marks the arrival of the invaders from the 5th century to around 1130. Middle English, which roughly marks the beginnings of 1130 to 1470. And the last phase is Modern English, which originates from about 1470 to the present day. This does not necessarily mean that all the changes in the language are limited to these phases. Of course, there have been many other changes throughout time, which are still happening even now that you're watching this video. Prior to present-day English, there had been many changes in the language. Here we'd be talking about some of them. Apart from the political aspect of the changes, there have been several other factors. To take spelling changes, for example, in 1476, 15th century, William Caxton set up his printing press in Westminster. He came up with his own new spelling system, which sparkled the first spelling errors, some of which are still in use today. For instance, the word any spelled as A-N-Y used to be E-N-Y. And the word busy, spelled as B-U-S-Y, used to be B-I-S-Y in their original forms. Another factor was that Dutch spelling system was also very common at the time. So Caxton combined some features from Dutch with English, perhaps for getting the attention of a wider audience. For example, the word ghost, spelled as G-H-O-S-T, used to be as G-O-S-T in its original form. It turned into G-H-O-S-T because in Dutch spelling, the letter H commonly sits next to the letter G. Another problem was the tendency to lengthen words in publishing industry. The incentive to this was money because people of publication were paid for the number of lines they printed. Therefore, many simple spellings became more complex. For example, the term friend we use today comes from an original spelling of F-R-E-N-D, and so does the term head from H-E-D. The sound of English altered somewhere between 15th century and 17th century. Nowadays, English learners find it so difficult to pronounce English words because of the indirect relationship between their phonological aspect, their sounds, and orthographical aspect, their spellings. What is British English? It refers to English spoken all over British Isles, which encompass the 4 countries of England, Northern Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. However, even British English itself has smaller variations of accents and dialects. Speaking of accents and dialects, accent is a way of pronunciation that defines your geography, whereas a dialect is far more comprehensive. It doesn't only mean the way of pronunciation, but it also goes with some meaning differences between words and phrases used in different regions. In short, a dialect is more comprehensive than an accent. Although there are variations like English English, Welsh English, and Scottish English, for historical reasons, upon the rise of London in 9th century, the form of language spoken there became the standard within the court and ultimately became the basis for generally accepted use in the law, government, literature, and education all over British Isles. Today, most people in the Great Britain speak an accent called received pronunciation, also called as Queen's English, Oxford English, or BBC English, which is known to be regionless at all. What is American English? Many people nowadays already know about American English even if they live in a country where another type of English is spoken. This is simply because they hear and read American English through mass media. For example, movies, television, and the internet, where the most common form of English is American. North American English is the most generalized variety of the English languages spoken in the United States and Canada. Because of the related histories and cultures, plus the similarities between the accents, vocabulary, and grammar of American English and Canadian English, the two spoken English varieties are often grouped together under a single category. Although English is spoken in different regions of the world, people still try to get used to either British English or American English. This is because all the world, this day and age, tries to follow a division of English language that is well accepted and is the mainstream. For an example, in Asian countries like India and other places, people often learn American English to sound more professional, to sound more like its natives, since their customers may call from the US or any other part of the world. According to a group of experts, Standard American English customarily refers to a variety of English language that is generally used in professional communication in the United States or the way it is taught in American schools. It is also known as Edited American English, American Standard English, or General American. According to the British, there is nothing like the Standard American English, but there are lots of linguists persisting that Standard American English is not a myth. William Krishmar and Charles Neer are the examples in this regard. There are many countries around the world today to follow American English than ever before. The Americanization of English is happening around the world much faster from Africa to Britain itself. American English is going into the nooks and crannies of English everywhere, thanks to education, business, Hollywood, and the internet. Although British English, which many countries consider to be the real thing, is widely taught around the world, what those learners use in their private lives is more influenced by the US English. This is all for our today's session. Thank you very much for watching.